I've been thinking a lot this week about breastfeeding, breastfeeding generally, and breastfeeding and the role, if that's the right word, or the involvement of the man. And I was reminded of a conversation today with a chap who's a professor in respiratory medicine, and he was talking, and his wife's a nutritionist, and he was talking about having multiple professionals come into his house when his partner was breastfeeding their child, and he was astounded at the range of advice that he got regarding what to do over breastfeeding issues. You know, his wife was told to top up with a bottle, his wife was told to use nipple shields, and all of these things confronted his understanding and his partner's understanding of the physiology of breastfeeding and how breastfeeding can be maintained over a long period of time. Now, we know that the stats around longevity of breastfeeding have not been great in the UK, nor across Europe for that matter. And it reminded me of some work done in Australia and Brighton, looking at the involvement of the partner in the context of breastfeeding education. And the research was quite clear, and when I get to it, I'll put the link below the video. But the research was clear that when partners, men or same-sex partners for that matter, were involved with breastfeeding education and support, what happened was that the longevity of breastfeeding statistically significantly increased. Now, the author of the Brighton work and certainly the Australian work come to some conclusions or questions about that. And one of the key findings, or one of the key summary points, is that the man or the same-sex partner who is consistently involved with his partner in the context of breastfeeding, he's there, or he's a source of information, or he's a source for questioning and that kind of give and take that happens in a great partnership. He's able with an understand, or she is able with an understanding to kind of be a buffer between the kind of advice that flies in the face of the science as we know it, the physiology of lactation. So when a health visitor or a midwife or a GP for that matter offers some advice, or a well-meaning friend offers some advice about breastfeeding to a woman who's having issues with latching on, or all of those issues that come up in breastfeeding, the woman can then refer to her partner and go, what do you think of this? Now, because he's informed and because he's grappled with some of the physiology, or she has grappled with some of the physiology, he's able to offer support, and he's a constant support, as opposed to the various professionals that flit in and out quite a lot less than they used to. So my contention, or my proposition, is that when men or same-sex partners are deeply involved in the process of education, breastfeeding will continue longer than it has done over the last 60 years. Now, I remember more than one discussion with women that say, oh, bottle feeding mothers are made to feel worse because they don't breastfeed. And I would say that some of that, and I hope it's not the Machiavellian intent of formula companies, some of that has been set up by formula companies. I heard yesterday that breast is best, that slogan was designed by formula companies. Well, why, you say, why would they do that? Well, when you think of it linguistically, that kind of breast is best narrative sets up a polarity. It sets up an adversarial relationship. Well, breast is best and I'm choosing second best. And the idea is that whenever there's that kind of polarity, what it spawns is kind of radicalism, if you like, or yeah, radicalism's the best word for it. So someone is that for it, well then there's got to be a group that's that against it. And thinking more about that, it occurred to me not that long ago that the formula companies, in a very insidious way, with lots of money, set up all kinds of frames of reference. You know, the very idea that creams for sore nipples are manufactured and marketed sets up the pre-frame that breastfeeding is going to be painful. Now, I'm not saying that for a lot of women it's not. I kind of, in the best way I can as a man, understand that sometimes there are issues that require support. when it comes to feeding. But to be hearing that you can buy creams for sore nipples sets up the pre-frame that it's going to be painful. You know, just like when I was working in hospitals, you'd hear midwives say, are you going to try and breastfeed? You know, try, the word try in and of itself has the presupposition within it that it's going to be difficult and you're probably not going to be able to do it. So, yeah, that's almost a rant today, isn't it? But I think we need a rethink when it comes to involving women's partners in a thorough breastfeeding education program that they feel part of, that's delivered in a way that they can understand and access. And that's my video for this week.